সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি একাত্তর বিশেষে। আপনাদের সঙ্গে আছি আমি নীলুফা জাহান তিথি। স্বাধীনতা যুদ্ধের পর থেকে বাংলাদেশে কাজ করে আসছে আন্তর্জাতিক উন্নয়ন সংস্থা অক্সফাম। দারিদ্র্য ও অসমতার হার কমিয়ে আনার পাশাপাশি নারীর অধিকার ও ক্ষমতায়ন, দুর্যোগ কিংবা জরুরি পরিস্থিতিতে মানবিক সহায়তা প্রদান, শিক্ষা, স্বাস্থ্য ও অর্থনৈতিক উন্নয়নে দীর্ঘ 50 বছর ধরে কাজ করছে অক্সফাম। দারিদ্র্য হ্রাস ও টেকসই অর্থনৈতিক উন্নয়নে নীতি সহায়তাও প্রদান করে আসছে সংস্থাটি। যে লক্ষ্যে যুদ্ধ বিধ্বস্ত বাংলাদেশে যাত্রা শুরু করেছিল অক্সফাম, সেই লক্ষ্য আসলে কতটা অর্জিত হয়েছে? বাংলাদেশে এখন বিশ্বে প্রশংসিত হচ্ছে, বলা হচ্ছে বাংলাদেশ উন্নয়নের রোল মডেল। বাংলাদেশ নিয়ে অক্সফামের ভবিষ্যৎ পরিকল্পনা কি? এসব নিয়েই কথা বলবো আমাদের আজকের একাত্তর বিশেষে। আমাদের সঙ্গে উপস্থিত আছেন অক্সফাম বাংলাদেশের সাবেক কান্ট্রি ডিরেক্টর জুলিয়ান ফ্রান্সিস, এবং একই সাথে আমাদের সঙ্গে উপস্থিত আছেন বর্তমান কান্ট্রি ডিরেক্টর আশিস দামলে। Thank you for joining us and very warm welcome to you.
Great pleasure to be
Yeah,
with you.
I hope you both are doing very well. My first question is to Julian Francis. As I was already saying that Oxfam has been working in Bangladesh. Like it has been 50 years, over 50 years it has been working in Bangladesh. So if we look back into 1972, we would like to hear about the history. What inspired Oxfam to start working in Bangladesh, and what were the early goals of this organization?
Well, the real beginning was actually getting involved in the relief work related to the cyclone of November 1970. And then it became very clear at that time to the organizations Oxfam was working with, as well as their own representatives, that there was a lot of tension, and then even more tension when the general election took place. And then we followed, I was based in India at the time, we followed the political situation in the early months of 71, and Bangabandhu's speech of March the 7th, and then all the news that came out after the crackdown on March the 25th. And so we soon got information from organizations we were working with in India near the border to what was then East Pakistan, that thousands were crossing, thousands of refugees were coming across the border. And it was very difficult to believe the numbers that were being reported. So we were asked to go to the border area and see for ourselves. And then eventually we managed to set up a big relief program covering about 6 lakh refugees right round the border from Tripura up through Assam, Meghalaya and the North Bengal down to Bongaon and Barasat. And so that's how Oxfam got involved in the biggest movement of people. It was a tragedy, and it was in very difficult conditions. People were arriving in a very sick, very weak position, and sometimes with bullet wounds and so on. So we had lots of challenges at that time.
Yeah, definitely. And we all know that it's a long history. So what were the primary goals of Oxfam Bangladesh?
Well, then after Victory Day, then obviously Oxfam was gearing up to get involved in rehabilitation, and the first country director, who had a few years' experience in the country in the 50s and 60s, said that he wanted to use Oxfam money to support young Bangladeshis with vision. meaning he wanted to support development work which would be sustainable.
Yeah, definitely. Now over to you, Ashish Dable. Like, how has Oxfam's work evolved in Bangladesh over the last 50 years? And during this journey, there were some key turning points that the organization has come along the way. Just share with us.
So, as Julian has mentioned, Oxfam প্রথম থেকে যেটা ভিশন ছিল কি টু ইনভেস্ট ইন দি পিপল with vision, that means to be active part of the Bangladesh's development, nation building process. We continued with that, and as in key milestones, if I have to say, I remember from my knowledge of history is 88 land reforms. Oxfam has a very critical role to play. Oxfam has also in 91 and the floods.
Floods of 1988.
1988. Yes. And the 91 also there was
the cyclone.
Yeah. So not only like, you know, on these humanitarian things, but it's not about aid, it's about being with the people. So when Oxfam
involving
says,
the people.
Exactly, it's that whole solidarity. Oxfam's investment is always with the people, with the grassroots level organization. So অনেক জায়গায় এরকম হয়ে গেছে যে it was started as an Oxfam campaign, কিন্তু তারপরে ওই it has turned into an organization. We have an example, something like We Can. Once upon a time it was Oxfam's campaign, later it becomes the organization itself. So একটা credit Oxfam নিতে পারে কি Oxfam has always been in solidarity with people and believed in the local ideas and then allowed that experimentation. So maybe that philosophy of taking chances,
yeah,
showing courage.
Yeah, and you were saying like involving the community. So
absolutely,
very much listening to the community.
Yes.
Yeah. Some people feel that, oh well, they're illiterate, they're uneducated, they won't know what to do. Actually, they often know far better than you. So please listen to them first.
Listen to them and work accordingly. And there must be few impacts, definitely, because when you are involving communities, individuals, there must be some impact that Oxfam had on those communities and individuals. What were those?
So, yeah, there are multiple level of impact. The first level of impact is the whole connection with the organization. What is the relationship we share? It's an equal relationship. It's not a relationship of a donor and a recipient. Donor and recipient is unequal relationship. So when we say equal relationship, it's like an emotional connect. So that Oxfam has definitely had with the civil society organization. The second level of impact is in terms of the policy. Oxfam has contributed in multiple level of policies over a period of 50 years. I'm sure Julian has the drug policy. Julian,
yes, I mean with the Ganashasta Kendra, Dr. Zafrullah Chowdhury, he was on the national committee for looking into the national drug policy in the 1980, 81, and that identified a number of generic drugs that should be produced by the country rather than imported from multinationals.
Correct.
And that was actually following a WHO guideline, but there was a lot of opposition to that. So that was a great policy that has actually assisted the development of Bangladesh's own drug industry, and they are now exporting to many countries.
Yeah. So today's many renowned organizations like Oxfam supported those organizations.
BRAC is a story. Yeah, of course. I mean, and that came from the same vision, like, you know, young people with a vision. So, and Fazal Abed, Sir Fazal Abed, when he came, Julian was there, he has seen that was the very first grant was made to BRAC, and we know what BRAC is. And there are many more such organizations there.
Yeah. Now we have to take a short break. We will come back. দর্শক, একটা বিরতির সময় হয়ে গেছে। বিরতির পর ফিরছি, নিশ্চয়ই আপনারাও আমাদের সঙ্গেই থাকবেন। সাথে থাকার জন্য অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। ফিরে এলাম বিরতির পর। আজ আমাদের সাথে উপস্থিত আছেন অক্সফাম বাংলাদেশের ফরমার ফিল্ড কোঅর্ডিনেটর জুলিয়ান ফ্রান্সিস এবং একই সাথে আছেন বর্তমান কান্ট্রি ডিরেক্টর আশিস দামলে। আবারও ফিরছি তাদের কাছে। In every work there are few challenges. I'm sure that Oxfam also faced so many challenges over the 50 years. So what challenges has Oxfam faced in implementing so many different type of programs in Bangladesh, and how has the organization sought to address those challenges?
So foremost challenges, I think, if we have to put it consistently, is always the need versus resources availability. The needs are always abundance, and of course resources are less. I mean, that challenge is consistently there from 50s till now, and it will perhaps remain that way. And when you have that kind of a challenge, then it gives birth to many more challenges. That means how you are going to choose, how you are going to be dealing with the, those multiple priorities coming at the same time. The other challenge is in terms of the collaboration, collectiveness, solidarity, because Oxfam is a value-based organization. It is not just a relief organization. So dealing with this patriarchal system, harmful cultural practices, and then being with the people at the same time, that challenge is also you have to manage. That you cannot, you have to have that patience that you cannot change the world in one day, but at the same time that consciousness should be there in mind that our women colleagues, our women partners have the same space in the society. The third challenge is in terms of the government. It's not a challenge itself, but it's like a love and hate relationship.
Okay.
We have to have a mutual accountability. So when we work closely, where there is a appreciation, we of course appreciate.
Because you are also working on policy
Absolutely,
change.
absolutely. Because when we talk about sustainability, eventually Oxfam never intends to create a parallel government. Everything has to go through the government system eventually. We are just a catalyst. So therefore, that collaboration is also required. We have to work closely with the government. Where there is a requirement of building competencies, we have been doing that role. Where it is appreciation, we have to give that appreciation, that credit to the government. But at the same time, then we also have to tell that what is not happening right. Oxfam is contributing in those places as well.
Yeah. Do you want to add something?
Well, yeah, I mean, there have been a number of interventions that NGOs, not just Oxfam, have made. For instance, in the area of the needs of people with disability. So then NGOs got involved 30 years ago in writing the first national policy and legislation and pushing the government, and so then the government started doing a lot more, but they still need pushing, and also some of the NGOs need pushing, because everybody says, government, UN, Oxfam and other agencies say, we don't want to leave anyone behind. Leave no one behind, but those people, particularly poor people with disabilities, are often left behind. So there are challenges, and a lot of negotiation is needed in that sort of area.
Yeah, and we always look forward to our future. So definitely Oxfam is also looking over the future. So what are Oxfam's priorities and goals for its work in future in Bangladesh?
It's a very good question, because this question is associated with the way things are changing. We have been saying that in last 10 years, particularly in last 2-3 years, the technological environment around us has changed. The COVID has taught us, different kind of time. The war has shown that how it gets impacted the whole global, logistics supply chain and its impact on Bangladesh. So in that context, Oxfam is now working out that how our solidarity now need to be manifested in a different form, which can keep the pace with these new upcoming challenges. Bangladesh is soon going to be graduating to this LDC, to the MDC. But at that time, in that graduation process, how the equality is being played out in Bangladesh, we still have that disparity, and that gap is widening up. So we'll have to perhaps do new things to address those. So we are focusing on one, research and development. We'll be investing more on understanding and developing this kind of initiatives. Number two is innovation, because in the scenario when you have less resources, you have to be very innovative to create larger impact. Third area, we will be investing more on young people. So we are considering of starting Oxfam fellowship program very soon to have these young leaders to come up.
Here I want to add something like worldwide, like women empowerment and ensuring gender equality is really important, and Oxfam is working on these issues.
Yes.
So what plan?
So Oxfam is as we say that we are a feminist organization. That precisely means that we are continuously working on the process of inclusion. We don't claim ourselves as expert organization, but we are definitely a very conscious organization, and therefore we invest more in terms of how these spaces where this inequality is quite obvious can be addressed, can be challenged. So that means working with the women-led organization, providing more opportunities for women leadership to come forward. And as I was saying about Oxfam Fellowship, this is precisely where how we can work closely with more young women of Bangladesh in different spaces, even in the digital space and all of that. So these are the areas that we are working out more, and to create knowledge hub for Bangladesh now. Bangladesh is compared in 50 years. Earlier we used to have many expatriates coming in, but now hardly one or two, and that indicates that we have a lot of local opportunities, and I think that is a good idea. Maybe in a couple of years the whole organization will only be led by Bangladeshi people.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. Many good wishes for your future works.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
দর্শক, আপনাদেরকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ এতক্ষণ আমাদের সাথে থাকবার জন্য। একাত্তর বিশেষে আজকে এই ছিল এ পর্যন্ত। আপনারা নিশ্চয়ই একাত্তরের সাথে থাকবেন, ভালো থাকবেন।
করণবাজার কাঁচামালের আড়ত মার্কেট ভবন সিলগালা করতে গিয়ে ব্যবসায়ীদের তোপের মুখে পড়েন ঢাকা উত্তর সিটি কর্পোরেশনের কর্মকর্তারা। এতে মার্কেটটি সিলগালা না করেই পিছু হটেন তারা। মার্কেট ছেড়ে যেতে ব্যবসায়ীদের 25 মে পর্যন্ত সময় বেঁধে দিয়েছে উত্তর সিটি কর্পোরেশন। বেলা 11:30টায় কারওয়ানবাজার কাঁচামালের আড়তে উচ্ছেদ অভিযানের নামে ব্যবসায়ীদের বাধার মুখে পড়েন সিটি কর্পোরেশনের কর্মকর্তারা। তাদের বাধার মুখে অভিযান না করেই ফিরে যান তারা। কর্মকর্তারা জানান, ঝুঁকিপূর্ণ এই ভবন ছেড়ে দিতে অসংখ্যবার নোটিশ দেওয়া হলেও ব্যবসায়ীরা শোনেননি। তবে ব্যবসায়ীরা বলছেন কোনো নোটিশ পাননি তারা। পুনর্বাসনের ব্যবস্থা করে উচ্ছেদের দাবি জানিয়েছেন তারা।